I'm sure you all remember the story of the trapped soul. Yes, today we bring you the second part of that haunting tale. Tell me, friends, were you really at the hotspot? Or did you vanish into the fog of Hyde Park? Did you lose your way in the shadows? If you want to stay updated with us, subscribe right now and hit that notification bell. I am your host, Oliver, welcoming you all. I hope you are all doing well and staying in good spirits. As you can see, today's episode is titled The Mystery of Highgate Cemetery. I hope this story gives you a thrilling experience and that you enjoy it from start to finish. You will learn the dark legends and events surrounding this place, which I believe will intrigue you deeply. February is approaching, the month of the Great Language Movement. But as February arrives, while the flowers begin to bloom, we also have Valentine's Day on the 14th, which is also the birthday of Bhoot-London. This year, we are completing 6 years. We aim to become a massive family of 2 million. You have been responding wonderfully on Facebook and YouTube, and for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It is your support that gives us the courage to return again and again. Today, we are back with new events. Without further delay, let's get into the stories. But before that, let me read some of your comments. Those writing to us, please mention your name first. George is listening from Dubai. Emily from Manchester. Noah is with us from Liverpool. And Liam from Leeds. Sophia is listening from Birmingham. Jacob from Saudi Arabia. And Lucas from Malaysia. We also have Jack from Chelsea, Harry from Stratford, Isabella from Croydon, and William from Brixton. Thank you all very much. Now, let's move to our first story. Story 1. The Rooftop Shadow of Stratford. This story was sent by Jack Williamson. He moved to Stratford, London for work. He writes, Assalamu alaikum, Oliver. I hope you are well. I have been a regular listener of your show since 2013. I want to share a terrifying incident from my life. In 2017, after finishing my engineering graduation, I came to London for a job. I joined a large industrial factory near the River Thames. Since it was a production plant, I had to work day and night shifts. The factory had 2 main buildings, the admin building and the production building, both 4 stories high. On my first day, I was exploring the factory. Since I was in my training period, I didn't have much work. Around late afternoon, I went up to the roof of the production building. There were 4 staircases leading to the roof. As I was walking around the roof, I noticed a man on the roof of the adjacent admin building. He was wearing a dark coat and was whispering while staring at the wall. As I moved closer to the railing to see him clearly, I felt as if the building and the man were moving further away from me, even though the distance between the buildings was only about 12 feet. I called out, "Hey, brother," to get his attention. Suddenly, the man turned toward me, gave a faint, chilling smile, and stepped over the edge of the wall. I was stunned. I looked down, but there was no one. I tried to dismiss it as a hallucination. A few days later, while checking the fire extinguishers, I went back to the roof. Suddenly, I saw the same man near the western staircase. He was in a prostrating position, but his head was twitching left and right with incredible speed. Horrified, I moved toward him and called out. Suddenly, he vanished like a cloud of smoke right before my eyes. I asked the security guards who he was, but they had no answer. 3 days later, during an internal audit, I asked a senior colleague about the roof. He turned pale and said that 2 years ago, a maintenance worker had fallen to his death from that roof while repairing an AC unit. He wasn't wearing safety gear. Since then, the roof has been kept locked. I asked if he was a religious man, and my colleague asked, "Yes, but how did you know?" I didn't say a word. A few months later, I was working late in the lab. It was about 9:30 p.m. The lab was in a corner near the security changing area. Suddenly, my body felt incredibly heavy. I thought I was just tired. Then, a loud bang echoed as the locked door slammed open against the wall. I stood up in terror. There was no one. But when I turned around, I saw that man sitting in my chair, staring at me. The AC was at 16 degrees Celsius, but I was drenched in sweat. I was paralyzed for about 4 minutes. It felt as if my body weighed 1,000 kilograms. I tried to pray, but my voice was gone. The man just sat there, staring without blinking. Suddenly, a security guard opened the door to lock up, and the man vanished instantly. I collapsed to the floor and fainted. When I woke up, I was in the factory infirmary. My colleague told me the security guard found me at midnight. But in my mind, only a few minutes had passed since 9:30 p.m. The guard said when he tried to pick me up, I was so heavy that it took 3 men to carry me. I was sent home with a 104-degree fever. I resigned 4 days later. This was the most terrifying event of my life. Story 2. The Gripped Hand at St. Thomas. OliverWelcome, Oliver. I have been listening to your voice since I was in year 7. Today, I am sharing my first story. My name's Thomas, and I live in Croydon. 8 years ago, after my exams, I took a part-time job as a patient care assistant at St. Thomas Hospital in the IQ. One night, around 1:15 a.m., a woman in her 30s was brought in after a horrific accident on the M25 motorway. Her condition was critical. She had severe brain trauma. The next morning, the doctor realized there was no hope. Suddenly, I saw the woman reaching out with her hand. I went to her, and she grabbed my hand with incredible strength. Tears were rolling down her eyes. She was in immense pain. Within 20 seconds, her body shuddered and she passed away. But she wouldn't let go of my hand. I had to force her fingers open to free myself. That evening, I developed a high fever. I was alone in my room as my brother was in Camden Town. I couldn't sleep. Her face kept flashing before my eyes. Suddenly, I felt someone in the room. I saw a figure in a black dress standing by my door. Her hair was messy. She began walking toward me, and the room turned ice cold. I felt like I was suffocating. The next morning, my parents found me unconscious by the bathroom door. I didn't tell them about the figure. Later that day, I went to take a shower. As the water hit my body, I felt dizzy and collapsed. My mother rushed in and found 3 deep scratch marks on my stomach. They were deep, as if made by human nails. I told my family everything. My father took me to a priest who told me that a restless spirit from the hospital area had followed me because I had accidentally disturbed it. After several prayers and blessings, the spirit left me. I still have the scars today. Story 3. The Cursed Royal Manor. Hello, Oliver. I am Robert. The story I am sharing was told to me by a friend. It happened in a quiet, lonely village called Nishidpur, on the outskirts of London. At the edge of the village, near a dark lake and an old cemetery, stands the Royal Manor. 80 years ago, the owner was Lord Arthur Royal. He was a stubborn man, rumored to dabble in the dark arts. He had a beautiful daughter named Catherine. On the night of Catherine's wedding, a mysterious fire broke out. The entire family was burnt to ashes. Strangely, while the whole house was destroyed, Catherine's room remained completely untouched. But she was never found. Some say she became part of the flames. Years later, 3 friends, Leo, Charlie, and Oscar, decided to spend a night there to prove ghosts weren't real. As they entered, the rusty gates made a screeching sound that broke years of silence. Suddenly, a cold wind blew past them. At midnight, they heard a woman's laughter from the 2nd floor. It wasn't a child. It was the chilling laugh of an old woman. They used their torches to look around, but found nothing. Suddenly, Oscar screamed. Behind Leo stood a shadow with glowing red eyes and a half-charred face. The entity grabbed Leo by the throat. They tried to break the wooden door, but it felt like solid iron. Then, the sound of jingling anklets filled the room. They saw a beautiful woman standing there. It was Catherine. But as she moved closer, they saw her skin was burnt and peeling. She let out a piercing scream that made all three lose consciousness. They were found the next morning by locals, lying outside the gates. Even today, anyone who stays there is driven away by terror. Closing remarks. That was our show for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed these stories. We will be back again next Tuesday. Until then, stay well, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay with Bhoot-London. A special shout out to our listeners. Detective Ben, a police officer listening from his barracks. Nabi from Richmond. Aria from Brighton. And all our listeners in the Middle East and beyond. Thank you for joining us. Good night, London.